Hello and welcome to CAT Scan. My name is Adam Green and I'm going to take a look at everything Arizona Wildcats. See what I did there? CAT Scan? That's why we call it that. Anyway, football season is starting this week. The Cats are going to be hosting the Toledo Rockets at Arizona Stadium. But before we get to that, let's talk about what happened in the offseason. When we last saw the Wildcats, they were beating, well, they played Louisiana Lafayette, but let's be honest, that game doesn't really count. They were beating ASU, celebrating a Territorial Cup win at Sun Devil Stadium. But as nice as that was, it was part of a 4-8 season that saw Mike Stoops lose his job. And, you know, what happens there is you hire a new coach. Enter Rich Rodriguez and his staff. The good news is Rich Rod brought Jeff Castile from West Virginia, who is the architect of the 3-3-5 defense. And a lot of people feel like if he would have had Castile in Michigan, well, he would have succeeded there and wouldn't be at Arizona today. But maybe Michigan's loss is Arizona's gain. So, you know, we'll hope for that. But the problem for Rich Rodriguez right now is just there's not a lot of talent on the roster. You look at the NFL in training camps in the preseason, there are a lot of ex-Wildcats doing well. Nick Foles, Jerron Kreiner, Kyola Antolin, Trevin Wade, Robert Golden are all in the NFL, or at least they're not on Arizona's roster anymore. And as far as the recruiting class that Rich Rod brought in, it kind of ranks near the bottom of the Pac-12, but that's fine, it's early. Let's get to a season preview though. The problem for Rich Rodriguez going in is that he has to implement a new system, which he even says is never easy.
The first year is always the toughest because you're teaching new schemes and new techniques and some other stuff.
So you heard from the new coach. It's going to be an interesting transition year, and that's what this is. You have to think back to when Mike Stoops took over for the Wildcats. He won 3 games in his first year, taking over for John Makovic, who, as we all remember, unfortunately, left the cupboard pretty bare in Tucson. There was not much talent on the roster when Stoops took over. The talent level did improve. They went to a few bowl games in Stoops' time. But the problem is a lot of that talent is now in the NFL. So the team Rich Rod takes over has some talent. It's not Stoops-level talent when he took over, but the cupboard is more bare than full. It'll take time for Rich Rod to get his system in place and to get the Wildcats back to the bowl games. And that's where patience becomes the operative word for Arizona. There will be times this season where they look really good, where the offense is clicking, they're scoring points, and who knows, maybe the defense even stops someone. But there are also going to be times where they look really bad. And as long as Wildcats fans are understanding of what's going to happen in Arizona, that it is a process and it's going to take time. But the good news is Rich Rodriguez will have that time. No one's expecting him to go to the Rose Bowl this season. Give him a few years before that should even be the goal. But as far as the season preview goes, you look at the schedule, there's about 7 games on the schedule that they could win. I'm not going to say they're going to win all 7 because they're not, but there's 7 games that they have a chance to come away with a victory in. Will they win? Which ones will they win? I don't know. But look at those games. They're not going to beat USC. They're not going to beat Stanford. They're not going to beat Oregon. They're probably not going to beat Oklahoma State. But the other games, they do have a chance. They're not going to beat Utah either. But the other games, they have a chance to win, and that's the important thing. Now, like I said, they're not going to win all of them. Don't expect them to win all of them. Don't be upset when they don't win all of them. They win 3, they win 4, that's fine. It's the first year. It's a building year. Give him time. The first game on the docket is Toledo. They host the Rockets Saturday at Arizona Stadium. And while you're concerned, Rich Rodriguez even says they're concerned with just the execution, as you always are with the first game.
Hopefully we've done our job to prepare and to be ready to execute come Saturday night. But, you know, all the execution parts are the things that you worry about the most, particularly in your first game.
Should also be really concerned with Toledo's offense. They come in, they ranked 9th in total offense last season and 8th in scoring offense in the country. They averaged 42.3 points per game. Yeah. They can score points. They have a new head coach, Matt Campbell, but the thing is, he was the offensive coordinator last season, so not much is going to change in the system. They bring back experienced quarterbacks, Terrence Owens and Austin Danton, and most people say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you really don't have any. They have 2 quarterbacks. They're both good, and they are both likely to play. They are inexperienced at cornerback, which will be something that the Wildcats, their strength happens to be at wide receiver. Dan Buckner, Richard Morrison, Terrence Miller, Austin Hill. They should be able to get open, and as long as Matt Scott, the senior quarterback, can find them, the Wildcats, too, will be able to score some points. So don't expect much defense in this game. Don't expect much defense from the Wildcats at all this season. My prediction, I can't give them a loss in the first show of the first CAT Scan, can I? No. Arizona Wildcats 37, Toledo Rockets 27. Cats start off 1-0, and we feel pretty good about the season until next week when Oklahoma State comes to town. But that's going to do it for the first edition of CAT Scan. My name is Adam Green. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheAdamGreen, or if you want more Wildcats talk, you can listen to the podcast Bearing Down with Adam and Jarrett. That is weekly, just as this video will be, on ArizonaSports.com.